Brenda, do you want to give a little intro just on your background and how long you've been working and how you came to it and that kind of thing?
Sure. I am, I've been painting for about 30 years, probably more than
Wow.
that. And I did at one point have a studio for about 9 years with my partner, who actually happens to be here tonight, Ruth Cranendonk. And we had an art studio and retail art supply place in Acton. And we were teaching art of all kinds, from still life to cutesy to landscapes and portraits and all kinds of things, right from down from ornaments up to canvas paintings. So that was a really wonderful experience, and I really enjoyed meeting all the students and getting to know them and really introducing a lot of people to painting. So that was a really cool time. And since then, I've been just painting for myself. And what I found was that the landscapes really, really kind of captivated me. And that's what I'm really drawn to, is the landscapes. And about 9 years ago, we purchased a cottage up north. And so I would go out kayaking and taking reference photos galore, and just enjoying the calm serenity of the lake, and wanting to really express that so in such a way that somebody could buy my painting and feel that sense of calm and peace when they look at my painting in their home. So that's kind of what I strive for with every painting that I do. It's become one of my most favorite things, is to be at my easel and paint, whether it's water lilies that I see when I'm out on my kayak in the middle of the day, or it's sunrises when I'm out there first thing as the sun comes up. Both of them are just wonderful experiences. And so a lot of my art is inspired by the scenes from Whitestone Lake, which is about 3 hours north of Toronto.
So this is the introduction to Brenda's show tonight. And as she said, tranquility is one of the main reasons she's attracted to Northern Ontario and to painting Northern Ontario. The enduring landscape allows us to stand in the midst of conflict or crisis in a way where we can feel balanced and grounded. It helps us stay upright in the face of strong winds of conflict and crisis. Like the trees and rocks stay solid in the face of the harsh northern climate. Being out in nature helps us cultivate and practice mindfulness. And through painting, she being Brenda, experiences that same mindfulness that helps build emotional strength to handle life storms and struggles. Brenda has been sharing her love of art for more than 30 years.
So this particular painting is quite vibrant. It was from a kayak trip that I had out on the lake in the fall. And the fall trips are pretty special for me for a couple of reasons. Number one, because of the weather, because in the fall, it can often be rainy or windy or just too darn cold. And so when I do get out there in the fall to see the colors, it's very special. And the colors that day were very bright and vibrant and just awe-inspiring. And I loved how the warm colors of the leaves contrasted against the cool colors of the sky and some of the other dark green foliage. And it's just something that you don't see, for those 3 months in the summertime. So that was what I found was really interesting about this particular piece, was the vibrancy of the colors.
The reflections are gorgeous, Brenda.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
do love
So
painting
next,
reflections.
you do like it?
I love painting reflections, yes,
Yeah.
in the water. Mhm.
Oh, this is lovely. Yeah, it is peaceful.
Yeah, it's called A Peaceful Summer's Day. And basically, the shadows from this big, huge tree are casting sort of a dappled pattern on the water. And the water is actually brown. Because this is a tea lake, which means that there are certain minerals in the water that make the water look brown instead of more blue. So the simple little cabin there is, I've always just thought it was just the cutest little cabin, and it's only used once or twice a year from what I'm told. But it kind of is there for the family to come and create summer memories. And I just feel like it just has such a beautiful feeling to it because of the memories that people have made there.
It's a lovely setting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and the water lilies are basically found near the edges of the lake in the quiet little inlets here and there. They'll be floating on the surface of the water. With a kayak, you can get up very close. So I often paddle into the little inlets to get photos of these perennial aquatic flowers. Water lilies are said to represent purity and innocence. And they're a type of flower that can be found in water. So therefore, they have also a symbolic meaning of essence and birth. Uh, and so basically, it refers to the circle of life that we all have. And to me, it's a very simple thing, but I'm grateful for every little thing like water lilies in my life. Next one is called Together. And this painting was actually inspired by a photo from a fellow artist and photographer who posted it on a Facebook group for artists with a challenge to use it as a reference photo. And I fell in love with it because of the reflections in the water. And
Yeah.
I just love the warm browns contrasted with the blues where the ripples are and stuff, as well as these two geese just floating around together, going about their day. And I just imagined it to be just so serene. And I thought it would be just a beautiful piece for a cottage or a cabin or even a man cave. You know, I thought it's kind of just it's a bit of a masculine piece more so than some of the others I've done.
It's a large piece, Brenda.
Yes, it is. It's 18 inches by 36. So it would fit above a couch, you know, in a living room or something quite nicely, or above a buffet.
Yeah.
This one is called Resting, and it's a smaller piece, 11 by 14. And I really love just seeing different things on the lake. I came across this boat when I was out kayaking one morning, and I just loved the reflection in the water. And it kind of struck me that this boat had probably been around the lake for a while and would have many stories to tell if it could talk. Stories of fishing excursions, or mom or dad with teaching their child how to put the worm on the hook and cast it out in a big arc until it hit the water with a soft little poop. Stories of sunset little cruises, listening to the loons, watching the moon and the stars, and stories of picnics on little islands with no cottages where the sounds of nature were all you could hear. The calm is just so complete in those kinds of scenes for me that I just loved it. Okay, so this one's called Dry Dock, and it was kind of a mystery to me when I came across it out on the lake. It was kind of hoisted up on top of a dock, which I thought was kind of odd. But I love the reflection in the water and all the natural foliage around the dock, providing protection from the wind and the weather a little bit. But it made me wonder what had happened to the boat. Was it up there for the summer? Was it not seaworthy, or did it have some repairs that were needed? Maybe maybe its captain was away and no longer able to use the boat. So there's just a lot of mysteries with this particular boat. And this was also a piece I painted almost totally with a palette knife. So that was kind of a little bit of a neat challenge that I had, and I really loved the result that I got. So.
And you're right about reflections, because almost every painting of yours so far has reflections. So you're almost painting two pictures, every time.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow. So how do you feel about using palette instead of a brush? Would you do it more, or no?
Yes, I am. I have started painting a new series of palette knife paintings, so that I'm working on right now. So I'll be coming out with those in about a month or two. So yes,
great.
I'm
So they'll
loving
be
it.
at the show.
Absolutely,
right?
they will be. Yes. Next, we have Three Tree Island. Now there's more than 3 trees on this, but I think when they named the island, there was only three trees on it. And this is on one of my regular routes in the morning on my morning kayak trips. Takes me past this little island in the middle of the South Reach, which is a section of the lake. It's it's just a little island, but I just feel like it's just so interesting how the sun will break through its branches of the branches of the trees and reflect on the water. And I'm sure if anyone sees me out there circling around and around the island, they would swear I was lost. But I just love looking at it and taking photos and looking at how the sun filters through the trees. This is at actually an island right beside the Three Tree Island, and I was sitting in my kayak watching the ripples and the waves in the water as they created this sort of distorted look. It wasn't a normal reflection because of how the ripples were going. And I thought about how the reflection kind of looked like a distorted representation of what was actually there. And it made me think about how sometimes we look at ourselves and our reflections and see a different reality than what is actually there. And so it kind of made me stop for a second and realize that I should be more mindful of the reflections that I see in my mirror, and realize that they're not necessarily reality. So that's kind of because I think that when we look in the mirror, we're often picking ourselves apart and saying, oh, this isn't good, and this is, my hair looks awful, and whatnot. And
exactly.
And really it's not. So that's kind of what the story is behind this piece. So it's an 11 by 14.
Yes, someone in chat, just a second, I pull it up.
Oh,
Nada Hatif says the reflection there is really well done and beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, so this next one is called Mesmerizing, and the ripples in the water reflecting the natural landscape were it kind of just happened. I started out painting the piece from the sort of the top down, and it was like all very kind of realistic. And then when I started looking at the reference photo and how the waves kind of were just sort of almost psychedelic, I thought, oh, these waves and the reflection needs to be kind of psychedelic. So it kind of turned into a bit of a psychedelic painting. And I just love watching the waves in the water, and even that is just kind of meditative for me. So
yes, it would be.
Yeah,
would be for me too.
So next we have Birch Island Sunrise.
Oh,
So
lovely.
yeah, so often by the time I'm gliding past Birch Island in the morning, the sun is just coming over the horizon. It's the first island that I go past, actually. And this is just kind of my view on a very regular basis, with just the lake water as smooth as glass, and a perfect
Mhm.
reflection of the sun in the water. So it's very peaceful. So I love it. Now we're getting into my watercolor series, and
Um,
this one was painted mostly with palette knife as well. So and most of
okay.
the ones that I in the water lily series were painted mostly with palette knife. And this series is sort of about getting a little bit abstract and getting up close with some of the flowers and foliage on the lake. And I just love the water lilies. They just to me
Mhm.
symbolize enlightenment. And the Buddhists actually say the water lily represents enlightenment because the beautiful bloom kind of emerges from dark mud, which is what's on the bottom of the lake, right? And that's where their roots are.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that I think that's just a wonderful analogy.
Yeah, they're kind of magical, aren't they?
Yeah. I was thinking about how the water lilies seem to just float freely on the water, but actually they're anchored to the muddy lake bottom with really long stems. And they usually bloom during the day and they close up at night. And some species of water lilies actually only bloom for a few days and then they're done. So
Mm.
I love the idea of them floating into the light. So
Yeah, it's
thank you,
lovely.
Mary. The next one is called Light and Love. And this one was another one with sort of an abstract background for the water,
Mhm.
and sort of moving into more the pastel colors, and again, more water lilies and symbolizing innocence, purity, hope, and peace. And this one here just was so light, full of light, and I just felt like it was a symbol of love almost, with how lovely and bright the colors are. And this one
Mm, that's-
is called Pastel Dreams. And these pastel colored water lilies are kind of nestled along the shore next to the long grasses. A fun fact is that water lilies actually come in quite a wide variety of colors, including pink, red, orange, yellow, purple, and blue, which
Wow.
and a wide range in each one of those as well. So from bright orange to a pale orange as well. So they have a wide variety. And next we have Floating Free. So this particular one is again similar style to the water. It has also the
Mhm.
long grasses in the background, but a little bit different coloring with the water lilies. And another fun fact about water lilies is that there's about 60 species of water lilies native to the temperate and tropical parts of the world. So it's actually food for fish and wildlife. And of course, people use them as ornamental plants for pools and, uh, ponds and whatnot. The
Right.
other benefit of the water lilies and their leaves is that they provide the benefit of shade, and
Mhm.
thereby keeping the water cool for the fish and also preventing algae. So water lilies are an important part of the lake biosystem.
Are they protected at all, Brenda?
I don't think so, but they
Okay.
could perhaps be. Maybe certain species are. I'm not too sure.
Oh, maybe
I didn't
so.
come
Yeah.
across any information about that
Okay.
anywhere. Yeah. So the next one, and this is the second last one. This is the last one in the water lily series, and this one is called Awakening. And this one here is about how the water lily overwinters in the muddy bottoms of the lakes and the calm waterways. Every spring, they emerge from the water from May to September with bright blooms of different colors, as I mentioned before. Each bloom typically lasts for about 4 days, and then they sink down into the water and decompose. So this one here was sort of about the different stages of the awakening of the water
Mm,
lily, from
mhm.
the very first bud, glimpse of the bud, to partially opening, and then the full blown flower. So
Would this be the most common coloration of the lilies in your area? Or
yes,
is
yeah.
it, yeah,
Yeah, they're usually white. I
okay.
think we do have some that are maybe yellow, but most of them are white. Yeah, with some of them
Okay.
have little tints of purple or pink, but they, for the most part, they're white. Mhm. Yeah, and then the last one is a little glimpse into my palette knife painting.
Oh,
This one here is called, this was one of my first ones that I painted. I actually painted 3 on the 12 by 12 cradled board, but 2 have already sold. This one here is called Big Sky, and it is basically just a view of how the clouds are just swirling above the horizon. And again, the sun is just rising. And I feel like it's kind of foretelling the coming windy day on the lake. You know, you can see the
mm,
clouds starting to move and swirl. And I just love the movement in the clouds in this particular piece. So. And that's about it. I've got lots more palette knife painting coming. So I hope that everyone will come to the Arts on the Credit show in April. Stay tuned to the Arts on the Credit social media, and you will, and I'll be posting about it as well.